Connecting via private endpoint is a secure way to establish a connection between your virtual network and a service without exposing your data to the public internet. Here is a step-by-step guide on how to connect via private endpoint. First, understand what a private endpoint is. A private endpoint is a network interface that connects you privately and securely to a service. Powered by Azure Private Link, it allows you to access the service over a private IP address within your virtual network. To connect via private endpoint, you need to create a private endpoint resource in Azure. This involves specifying the resource you want to connect to and the subnet where the private endpoint will be located. Next, you need to configure the private DNS zone. The private DNS zone is used to resolve the private IP address of the private endpoint to the fully qualified domain name of the service. You can use Azure DNS private zones or your own DNS server. After configuring the private DNS zone, you need to approve the private endpoint connection. The owner of the resource you are trying to connect to must approve the connection before it can be established. Once the connection is approved, you can use the private endpoint to connect to the service. You can use the private IP address or the fully qualified domain name of the service to connect. Best practices for using private endpoints include using them for all connections to services that support them and monitoring the connections for any issues. In conclusion, connecting via private endpoint is a secure way to establish a connection between your virtual network and a service without exposing your data to the public internet. By following these steps and best practices, you can ensure a secure and reliable connection to the services you need.